Hello students, in this class let us know about the topic steps involved in questionnaire design. It comes in a chapter that is third chapter tools for collection of data. Let us go with the first step. Before going to the first step, you know what is questionnaire. In last class, we have discussed about what is the meaning of questionnaire and what is the different types of questionnaire, that is structured questionnaires, unstructured questionnaires and mixed questionnaires. What are the advantages of doing questionnaire method and disadvantages of doing questionnaire method? In this class, let us know about the steps involved in doing a best questionnaires. The first step is determine the specific data to be sought. Here, the researcher aims for the specific answer from the respondents. Here, the question arises how to get the specific answer from the respondents. The question should be specifically related to the objects. Before framing the questions, the first and foremost step is to determine the objectives. Here, the researcher first he has to see what are the objectives, then he has to go for the questionnaires, then only it will become a good questionnaire. Next is determining the interviewing process. In this process, after framing the questions, now the researcher is ready to collect the information. Now he has to think in which way he has to take the information, how to reach the respondents. It may be from mail surveys, personal interviews, or from the telephone surveys. It is a decision taken by the researcher. It is his own decision he can take in his own way. Next step is evaluate the question contents. Once the researcher is ready with the questions, he cannot directly get into the respondents in a first shot itself. He has to check it before reaching to the respondent. It must give the answer for the question, such as does the respondent understand the question, or they confused to give the answer. So these are all the things he has to look into it, then only he has to frame a questions. If as a respondent, if I am not understanding, then I may skip the question, or I may not give the genuine answer. So this is one of the drawback in doing the questionnaires method. So the researcher has to look into these things, then he has to do the questionnaires. The fourth step, that is decide on the questionnaire format. Here, which format should be used? I have already told you that in last class there are three types of questionnaires can be framed. One is structured questionnaires, unstructured questionnaires and mixed questionnaires. Here, researchers should decide which type of questions to be used in his survey. As I told you, that is structured questionnaires means closed-ended questions, unstructured questionnaires means open-ended question, and mixed types of question. The researcher has to decide based on his research problem, and he has to go with his questions. Most of the time mixed type of questionnaires will be used to take both qualitative and quantitative data. Next step is determining the working of the questions. Here, questionnaires will work only if the qualities are highlighted. What are the qualities should be highlighted? The first point I have already mentioned is use simple language, because simple language is always easy to understand. The next is use familiar vocabulary. Here, as a common man, if we use scientific words, he cannot understand. More scientific words should not be used, as a common man cannot understand it. Next, the third point, it is be specific as far as possible. Here, the researcher, based on his objective, has to get a specific answer. If he is not getting a specific answer, then the researcher, what are the things the researcher is doing, then it will be going under waste. Next is should avoid lengthy questions, because respondents may have lack of interest to read it, then he will not show any interest and he will forcefully give some response which is not accurate. Next is determine the physical characteristics of the firm. What is the meaning of physical characteristics here? The how it looks like. It might be if we tell that physical characteristics of a product, if you can tell that it is like packing of the material, or the color of the material, or color of the product, how it looks, how it attracts to the consumer. So this is what a physical character. Here in same like the physical characteristics in a questionnaire means how it looks or how it appears to the respondent. It mainly talks about the physical characteristics of the questionnaire, like it should be appealing physical features, clear and clear, it should be clear, provide sufficient space for the answers. So while doing the questionnaire, the spacing should be correct. Then questionnaires should not be bulky, or it should not be too lengthy. Then clear instruction should be given before the questionnaire starts. So before the question number 1, before that, this clear cut instruction should be given to the respondents. Then only he will be giving a proper respondent based on the instructions. These are all the physical characters to be included in the questionnaires. Everywhere it should be a clean and clear, it should not be a messy and all, it should be a clear one. Next is, that is a final draft, pre-test, revise and final draft. Here he has to do the pre-test, then he have to revise it, then he has to go with the final draft. Pre-test means it is also called as pilot study. It can be done by taking the initial respondent from nearly 5 to 10 response. This helps in correcting the mistakes done by the researcher while framing the questions. Once he find out what is a mistake in his questionnaire, then he has to revise it. After revising it, so when he finds any mistake, he has to correct it and prepare the final draft. That's what the final draft say. Then the actual questionnaires will be ready to give for the respondents. Then there will be no mistakes in that, there will be no confusion arising for the respondent, or it will be having a clear or simple language will be used, which will be easily understandable. These are all the good qualities of the questionnaires. Students, these are all the steps of questionnaires. When as a researcher, when someone is doing a questionnaire, these are all the steps should be followed, then only it will become a good questionnaires. Okay students, thank you.